August 9, 2011. This is from Gerard Butler regarding Laurie McBride and Brent Spiner, a night that they had together. My dearest Lassie, I am writing to inform you that there has been a breakthrough with Brent. I experimented with some hypnotherapy on Brent to see if that would help him, and some strange information came to light. During the hypnotherapy, I asked him to recall the night of his rape. They're referring to Laurie McBride's rape of Brent Spiner. A smile came across his face, and I knew he was remembering your brain-to-brain loving. I asked him what he could see. He said a blonde woman was entering the room. Obviously must have been Laurie. I asked if it was Laurie. He just kept grinning and did not answer. Then he started sighing deeply. I could see he was visibly erect. Sorry if this is getting too graphic, Lassie. At this point, I found it very hard to get answers out of him. He just grinned and sighed. I took him out of the trance, and he was a bit embarrassed about his visible excitement. I reassured him it was okay. I asked him if he remembered anything from the hypnosis. He said that he could, vaguely. I asked what he remembers. He seemed a bit worried. He said what he saw in the hypnosis was different from what he thought happened. I asked in what way. He didn't want to tell me, and he had tears in his eyes. But I convinced him to share what he saw. He said in the hypnosis memory that Laurie came in, and he took her to his bed very passionately, as he has wanted to do with you for so long. I asked him if it would be okay for me to tell you all this. He worried you'd be upset or angry or upset, but he thought it best that you know about everything. We don't know whether the hypno-memories were true and Jesuits had repressed that experience on him, or if it was somehow a false memory. Unfortunately, while I know how to perform hypnotherapy, I cannot be sure of how it works. Yours truly, Gerard. Dear Gerard, this is my response. When did this incident happen? I always thought it was 1992 in September when Brent gave me 3 weeks of silence. Knowing what had happened will help me keep things in perspective. As far as Brent penetrating Laurie, this does not totally surprise me, as I know he was drugged out and wanted me desperately at the time, and I think he may have released his repressed sexual feelings for me into Laurie. Jesuits can direct brain cell conversations, and probably even more so when they have someone drugged out. It's also possible that the drug they used on Brent may have been specific just for this purpose, to help them to direct his brain cell conversations so that he would think Laurie was me, or he may have experienced a sort of wet dream. In a dream state, we are not totally rational. I've had dreams where I've had sex with a guy, and when I woke up, I thought, good grief, why did I dream that? That guy gives me the creeps. You can't hold a person morally responsible for what they do in a dream, and I think the same principle applies here. I don't consider Brent immoral if he did penetrate Laurie while he was drugged out and in a dream state and not aware that Laurie was Laurie. I'm more concerned about the legal aspects of all this. Laurie had her baby in 2002. Did he have this possible sex with her in 2001? In other words, does Laurie have a legitimate claim in court if she claims that her baby was conceived through sex with Brent and not through artificial insemination? I find it hard to believe that Brent would have sex with Laurie after 1999 when I informed him that she was a Vatican agent. If this incident happened before 1999 and was in 1992, as I suspected, then it will not affect my relationship with Brent at all or my feelings for him at all. If it happened in 2001 or after 1999, Brent and I will probably never, ever be able to get together safely in a normal marriage relationship, but then I've sort of already come to terms with that. I need a little more information about this incident, this supposed sex with Laurie. When did it happen? What drug was used on Brent? Reassure Brent that I am aware that he was drugged out, and don't hold him immoral for this incident. My main concern is how strong a case Laurie will have in court against our relationship. As far as the erection, that doesn't even faze me. Of course a guy's going to have an erection when he's turned on. I think what happened is that Brent's emotions were filled with me, and he was ready to go into the sexual motions, and Laurie just happened to show up, and he may have gone into her, confused in his mind, and releasing all that repressed sexual energy he felt for me into her. I think this knowledge from the hypnosis will devastate Brent more than me, because he adores me and now feels he's betrayed me. I'm concerned about the legal aspects because Laurie always goes legal. 1, when did this happen? 2, what drug was used on Brent? Can we prove that this drug can be used to help Jesuits direct brain cell conversations to cause Brent to be so confused that he could go into Laurie thinking it was me? 3, how drugged out was he? Was he drugged out enough that we can prove in court that Brent's sex with Laurie was done in a state where he could not have known that it was her he had sex with? Regarding the psychological aspects of all this, Brent will be devastated if he really did go into Laurie. Please work with him on this and help him to resolve the guilt that I'm sure he feels over this. If he was truly drugged out, he cannot be held morally responsible for being a normal guy and desiring sex with the woman he loves, me, and being so out of it that he released all that sexual energy he felt for me into her. I can tell you from my phone conversations with Brent in the early 1990s that if this incident happened at that time, that Brent was full of fire for me, and if he had had sex with me at that time, it would have been very passionate and erotic. I have considered the possibility that he may have gone into Laurie, but if he was truly drugged out and not aware that Laurie was Laurie, I don't hold him morally responsible. Reassure Brent that I don't hold him morally responsible for what he did in a drugged-out state, especially if this incident happened in 1992, as I suspect. When this happened will make a big difference in our legal case against Laurie, so I really need to know when this happened. Thanks for all you do for us, Gail Schuler. And then I wrote to Brent, and this is August 9th, 2011. Dear Brent, I have received the email from Gerard and have sent him a long message. I believe you want to tell me this because you're not sure whether you had sex with Laurie. It was only one time, right, if you did have it. And you were in a drugged-out state, right? If it was in 1992 or before 1999, it won't affect my feelings for you at all. Not that it would affect my feelings for you if it was in 2001, but I need more information. Big question, when did this happen? It amazes me how Laurie makes such a big deal over a one-time incident when you were in a drugged-out state. You have a very strong sex drive. I know this because of how you talk to me on the phone, and I love that about you. You cannot be held morally or legally responsible for what you did in a drugged-out state. In our legal case against Laurie, we need to be able to prove in a court of law that you were drugged out enough that you were not aware that Laurie was Laurie. If Laurie can prove that you were aware that it was her when you penetrated her, if you did, we may have some problems in court against her. I think what may have happened is that you may have been in the middle of a fantasy about me, and Laurie just happened along, and you may have released all that fire you felt for me into her. I'm not sure how accurate hypnosis is. Do we have other means using computer memory brain reads to determine what really happened that night with Laurie? I'm more concerned about the legal aspects of all this than about the moral aspects. If it was a one-time incident and you were drugged out, you cannot be held morally responsible for what happened. By the way, I have always considered the possibility that you may have had actual sex with her in a drugged-out state. Did this drug enhance your sex drive? Did this drug influence the Jesuits' ability to direct brain cell conversations? These are all factors we must consider. If you only had sex with her one time and you were under the influence of a drug, then it's obvious that you love me and never wanted her except under the influence of a drug that caused you to act out of character, so that your sex with Laurie was not a willing and knowing act. If it was not a willing and knowing act, I don't hold you morally responsible at all. Because it was only a one-time thing, I would especially not hold you morally responsible. If you had sex with her more than once and in a willing and knowing state, then we will have problems. But I don't believe that is the case. So if you only had it with her this one time, relax. It won't affect my feelings for you at all. I'm just concerned about the legal aspects of all this. Love, your devoted wife, Gail Schuler. And then here's something else I wrote him. Dear Brent, I'm not posting any of today's correspondence with Gerard or that I've written to you on my website until I get more information. I've obviously changed my mind about this. I don't want you guilt-racked by all this. I've asked Gerard to work with you on this. This is so hard on you. Even if you did have that incident with Lori in 2001, I will still remain your friend, but it will make it almost impossible for us to have a normal marriage relationship, which I've pretty much come to terms with already anyways. I assure you I won't be losing any sleep over this. I'm more concerned about you than me. I can imagine how guilty you will feel over this because I know you love me and don't love Lori McBride and have never loved her. You cannot be held morally or legally responsible for what you did in a drugged-out state. Your devoted wife, even if it's only online forever, Gail Schuler. Another letter to Brent on August the 9th. Dear Brent, our brain-to-brain loving is not what it used to be. I can't climax because you feel so guilty about having sex with me. Oh, well, I've always loved you for more than a sexual climax, but I wish you wouldn't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself a break. You and me, we are up against the richest and most powerful organization on earth. I sense all the guilt you feel, my darling. If you did have sex with Lori for one night in a drugged-out state, I forgive you. I know it was not willing and knowing. I know how much you love me, and that makes it worse for you. You died for me, and now you feel like you want to die because you fear you may have given Lori passionate sex that you meant to be for me. All I can say is that I think the Jesuits directed your brain cell conversations with the help of that drug. In other words, they took over your brain when Lori came into the room. I think they somehow used the drug to make you feel that Lori and I became one in your mind, so that when you made love to her, she somehow became me in your mind. Your brain got muddled and Lori became me in your mind. If that's the case, then the video I made for you should help you in your recovery. Even if you did penetrate her, in your heart it was me you were penetrating. So it was still our moment. Lori stood in for me, and if you were in full possession of your senses, you would not have gone to her because you would have known that Lori was not me. On to another note. At the Jesuit website, it says Lori impregnated herself through artificial insemination. It appears the pregnancy occurred because of artificial insemination, not because of your sex with Lori. And if you can see the original version to the Jesuit website at Jesuit website tells the truth about Lori McBride, Brent Spiner, Vladimir Putin, Ludmila Putin, go check out that YouTube video. That's the original version before Lori changed it. It appears the pregnancy occurred because of artificial insemination, not because of your sex with Lori. I'm afraid Gerard has his work cut out for him. I can't believe all the guilt I'm sensing. You feel so devastated right now, like you've betrayed the woman you die for. Well, I don't feel betrayed. Actually, when Gerard told me you had your erection in that hypnosis, I smiled because I know who you had that erection for. You may think, well, Lori was nude and she turned me on. Yeah, but it was all that repressed sexual energy that you felt for me that contributed to the erection. I know it, Brent. Besides, you were drugged out. Give yourself a break. I know you adore me. Love always, your devoted wife. I won't desert you. Gail Schuler. And then another letter to Brent. Oh, did we have some great brain-to-brain loving. You know what you need to do. You just think back to that passionate loving that you think you had with Lori and put me in her place because that's what really happened. You went through the sexual motions with her, but in your heart and soul it was me you were making passionate love to. The Jesuits did a clever rape on you. They raped your mind first, and then they raped your body. They took control of your mind and deceived you into thinking that Lori was me, and then once they accomplished that, they threw Lori into the bed with you, and you made love to her thinking or feeling she was me. What a brilliant rape! Rape of the mind, directing brain cell conversations to cause you to feel Lori was me, and then you groaned in ecstasy into a vagina that you thought was mine. That's the worst kind of rape imaginable, and that's what they did to you, though I'd still be interested to know when this rape happened. Love always, Gail Schuler. By the way, I'm not publishing any of this until I get some more information. Well, because Lori posted a new YouTube video, I decided to go ahead and go public. I'm going to go on to a second half on this because we're running out of time. I only have 15 minutes. So I'm going to go on to a second video.